According to Zillow data and Resiclub analytics, home prices are actually starting to fall in many areas of the US. And today I'm going to share some mind-blowing stats and facts about these falling home prices. You don't want to miss today's housing nerd video. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share what many experts think will happen to the 2025 housing market. Will home prices be up? Will they be down? Stay tuned to the end. Let's get going. But first, if you're new here to my channel, thanks for joining us. My name is Jason Ferrier. I'm a realtor and investor just outside of Columbus, Ohio. And if you get any value out of the video, subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment below. I want to know what's going on in your local housing market. Are prices going up? Are they going down? Comment below. I'd love to know. And so would a lot of other people. Okay, let's get moving. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is a chart from Resiclub Analytics. This chart is awesome, and Lance's data is great. Lance is the CEO and the founder of Resiclub Analytics. I would check out his website and subscribe to his newsletter if I were you. The link's in my description below. But this chart gives you a great picture of what happens with home prices based on seasonality and throughout the years. So according to this chart, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see that on average, these are the averages at the bottom. You can see that this time of year is usually a soft period for home price growth, meaning you could see that this is December, November, and October. So in October, for instance, nationally, on average, according to Zillow data, we're flat with zero home price appreciation in that month since the year 2000. So this month in November, historically, down 0.2%. But look what's happening this year. In October, we were down 0.3%. So a lot larger than the usual seasonal decline in home prices. Now this month, down 0.4%. Also larger than what we normally see in home price growth. We're down 0.4%. So home prices are softening more than they usually do this time of year. Obviously, we don't have December's number yet, but we will soon. And usually, historically, down 0.3% in home prices in December. So it'll be interesting to see where this comes in. But if you scroll back up through this chart, you can kind of see where home prices usually go, based on seasonality. The blue area is obviously more growth. The orange or lighter color and red areas are less growth or actual negative growth or, falling home prices. So usually it's, yellow at the beginning of the year, then turns blue during the spring selling season. And then as we get down to into the winter, it softens. And you can see back in 2008, look at the red on the screen. So home prices in some of these years didn't grow at all, right? Like 2008, down every month, right? No surprise. We all know what happened during the GFC. 2009, down most months, up slightly in the spring selling season, but not really. But then as we left the GFC, home prices returned to normal seasonality. And now you're at, normal growth in the spring and the summer selling season. And then it softens as it usually does. But look in 2021, look at that. Look in 2021 where we've gone. Home prices were growing 1.2, 1.7, 2%, 2.6, 2.4, 1.3% each month. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add that up for the year, it's a lot. So that kind of gives you a picture of what was happening. Look at 2021. We were at 2% growth year over year in home prices for that month. And then look at the average growth for that month normally, 1% only 1%. So to have a 2% growth or 2.5% growth in that month is huge. Conversely, having a drop now, right, of 0.4% when we usually see a drop of 0.2% tells me things could be softening. So let's go into a county level look now to see what's happening at a more metro county level, smaller area, and we can see where home prices are actually falling. Okay, so this map that you're seeing right now on the screen, this is the change in county level home prices since each county's respective peak in 2022. So remember, a lot of counties, a lot of areas of the US experienced their peak of home prices in 2022. Now, not everybody, not all areas experienced that. Like here in Columbus, where I am, or near Columbus, we had the peak actually this year in 2024 in the summer. So we peaked in 2024. But this map can give us a perspective of what's been transpiring over the past couple years with home prices. And again, this type of information is awesome, and Resi Club Analytics has it. So check this out. When I look at uh, New York overall, and you just kind of take a step back and look, I want you to look at the New York area here. It doesn't look like there's really any danger, right? Meaning the blue is good, red is bad. I mean, that's pretty simple to figure out. But if we zoom in to the New York area, New York County, you can see shift since the peak down 20%. So a lot of people think New York has done well. Well, the state may be doing well as far as home prices, but the actual city itself, New York City, down negative, or it's actually down 20%. Since March of 2020, it's down 12.4%. And then you can actually see on the box there the year 1 year change. It's up 0.1%. That's it. 2 year change down 14%, 3 year change down 13%, and so on. So New York clearly has some pain. Now, what causes home prices to drop? Well, one of the big things is inventory. So check this out. We're going to do this next. We're going to look at the actual inventory shift uh, in the uh, in the county. So let's look at that. So if I look at New York County, New York, look at this. Since if you compare 2019 to 2024, there's only 2.6% less inventory right now, meaning we're basically back to pre-pandemic levels of inventory in New York City. So look at the inventory now, 2024. If you look at all the way down in that white box, 6,676 units. Now look at where they were in 2019, 6,854 units, very close to that number. And that may be what's causing the softness in prices in New York. And I suspect as we go through this map, we're going to see other areas of the US that act like that too. Okay, so I'm going to look at some other areas of the US. You're going to have to bear with me as I click through this map. But we're going to go to Florida next and take a look at that. Because a lot of people think, all right, Florida, what's going on there? It's going to crash. Is it not going to crash? Well, let's zoom in and find out. So again, a lot of people think Florida, they think Miami, right? Well, if we look at Miami from a price perspective, you can see since the peak up 12.3%, since March of 2020 up 65% in home prices, just nuts, right? So a 5 year change, look down below. 5 year change up 70% in prices in Miami. But let's go to some pain here. Look at this. Charlotte County, Florida. I had a viewer on my channel actually request this county and look at it. So we're examining this county. Shift since the peak in Charlotte County, Florida. I think it's near Fort Lauderdale. Down 11% since the peak. Since March of 2020, though, up 50% still. But 1 year change, just year over year, down 7%. 2 year change, down 10%. So it looks like that's the magic number, right? 2 years is the cutoff where prices have started falling over the last 2 years. If you go back 3 years, they're up 10%. You go back 4 years, they're up 42%. You go back 5 years, they're up 53, 54%. Who's counting at that point, right? So the point is, some of these areas experienced a ton of price growth, but lately they have been softening. Now let's look at the inventory there and see what we can find. Again, just bear with me as I get down to the bottom of the map. Let me zoom out. All right. So Charlotte County, Florida with inventory. Look at this shift between November 2019 and November 2024. That's not a misprint. 80%, 80% growth in inventory in 4 years, 5 years. So back in November of 2019, you can see it in that white box, 1,990 units of housing. Now they've got 3,600 units of housing in Charlotte County, Florida. That area is imploding in prices because it's exploding in inventory. More inventory, unless you have a ton more demand, you're going to have softer prices. That's why the US hasn't crashed nationally, and many areas haven't with home prices, because there's just less inventory than there was before the pandemic. So let's keep going. And comment below. What do you think of this data? What do you think of how they're presenting this? I think it's very telling and very helpful. And it gets you a little bit more micro than what you normally see from data providers. All right. So let's look at another area of Florida. Let's do Sarasota County, Florida. We've got shift since the peak down 7.8% since March of 2020, up 56.3. 1 year change down 5.5%. 2 year change down 6.4%. 3 year change up 16%. So we're kind of seeing the same thing that we saw in Charlotte County, Florida. Now let's look at active inventory and see what that looks like. Active inventory in Sarasota County, Florida. Look at that. 10% more inventory than they had pre-pandemic. That tells the story, folks. There it is, as plain as day. So if I'm you and I want to know what's happening in my market, if I'm not reviewing it today, which I can only do a few of these on this video, I would get Lance's info and dial it into a county level and find out what's going on. So let's do, I'm going to do Ohio now because I'm in Ohio. So let me do Ohio. The Buckeye State, Ohio. All right, so big area here is Franklin County. That's where Columbus is, the Ohio State University, not Ohio State University. You live here, you'll get slaughtered. If you say that, you got to say the Ohio State University, as cheesy as that is. And prices. So since the peak, we're up 7.6% since the peak. Since March of 2020, up 47.9% in home prices. 5-year change, 52.7. Much different story than you saw in Florida and even New York City, right? We're actually still up since the peak. We're up since March. We're up here. We're up everywhere, right? Year over year, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year change here in the Buckeye State. Now let's look at inventory and see what that comes in as. All right, inventory in Franklin County down 7.2%. So we're still down in inventory in Columbus compared and in the surrounding area of Franklin County. We're down 7.2% since pre-pandemic. We still have less inventory. You can see it there in the box. 2,079 units for sale. Back in November 2019, we had 2,240 units for sale. So still have less than we did. Prices have not crashed. They're really not softening either. All right. So hopefully this is helping. Comment below. I want to know, what do you think? Okay, let's do another one. I'm going to go to Texas next. And this has a lot of red, right? I mean, look at the Texas. Look at the red. Red in Texas. It's all over the place, right? Let's do Travis County, Texas. Since the peak, down 19% in home prices. I think this is Austin, if I'm not mistaken. So since March of 2020, they're still up 34% in home prices. But since the 2022 peak, when home prices peaked in Austin, down 19%. Look at this. 1 year change, down 4%. 2 year change, down 13%. 3 year change, down 7%. 4 year change, they're up, and 5 year change, they're up. But definitely prices have suffered there in the last few years. Now let's look at inventory. Whoops. Oh, all right. Let's look at Travis County, Texas, right there. Look at this. Again, not a misprint. This is startling, just like uh, Charlotte County, Florida. Shift since November 2019 and November 2024, up 60%, 61% in inventory in Austin. You want to know why prices crash? Explosion of inventory, my friends. That's what you have to keep your fingers on and understanding of in your local market. If you see tons of inventory explode in the asset class and the price point that you're looking at, that's a good indicator prices could soften or downright crash, because they are in Travis County, Texas. Look at that. Now there's 5,100 houses for sale. Back in November 2019, only 3,200 houses for sale. Have a lot more than they did pre-pandemic. And homes are more expensive. I'm sorry, lifestyle's more expensive. Interest rates are more. So all that, you roll that in together, and demand is crushed and inventory is exploding and prices are falling. All right, so let's look at Denver County, Colorado, which is where Denver is. Obviously, shift since the peak, down 6.5% since March of 2020, up 24.7%. So if you bought a house in 2020 in March, your house is appreciated approximately, according to average Zillow data, it's 24.7%. But look at the 1 year, 2 year change, down 1.5% year over year. 2 year change down 2.7% since the peak. Again, down 6.5%. All right. So now let's look at the inventory there and see what's going on with inventory. So let's look at inventory in Denver County, Colorado, which is Denver essentially, up 34%. 34% since 2019. So a lot more inventory than what they had in 2019. That's why you're starting to see these home prices soften in Denver. All right, let's do another one. All right, let's do Orange County, California. I actually used to live there. Shift since the peak, 12.8%. Since March of 2020, prices are up near 60% in Orange County, 60%. So now let's look at inventory in Orange County, California. So in Orange County, California, shift since the peak, down 37%. So in Orange County, completely different situation than Denver, where you have a lot more inventory than you did before the pandemic. In Orange County, you have a lot less inventory, which is crazy because there's a ton of new building there in the area, and it has some of the most expensive real estate in the country. Anaheim is in Orange County, and Anaheim, California is always on Redfin's top list of, it seems like every week they're on the top list of areas with the most price appreciation and growth. So that gives you a perspective of what's going on in Orange County, California. So hopefully you can see, as we look at those maps, what's been happening to home prices in some metros and counties across the US. As more inventory has built into the system, home prices are naturally going to soften. That may continue, especially in areas with a lot of new construction. You got Texas in there, definitely Florida's in there, right? And then you have areas, micro areas like even New York City that's experienced, some softening because they are, really flat from where they were in 2019 with inventory. So now, as promised, we're going to look at what some experts think will happen to 2025 home prices. Now, this is something I cobbled together from various predictions. And some of it was from Resiclub Analytics. Some of it I just researched on my own. But basically, you can see here that I have the source on the left, which is the expert and what they think is going to happen, or who I'm calling out. And then you got the 2024 prediction, where they thought home prices would land in 2024. Then I put down where we are right now, 2024 actual, according to the data that this provider uses, or this expert uses. Some of them use, Redfin, some of them use CoreLogic, some of them use Case-Shiller, some of them use FHFA, some of them use Zillow. So I put that down there as the actual. Then you got the prediction, what they think is going to happen to 2025. So as you go through this, you can kind of see that some of them think, back in 2024, back in 2024, this year we would have a drop, right? Like Morgan Stanley thought we'd go down 3%. Would we actually do up 3.85%? Their prediction for 2025, up 3%. Will they hit it? I don't know. They were wrong in 2024, but we'll see if they hit it in 2025. You got the National Association of Realtors says we're going to be up 2%. Moody's says down 0.4%. They're actually bearish on the housing market somewhat, even though they missed big time on 2024's prediction. As you go down here, there's some that are outliers, right? Like look at Apollo Global. They are a real estate research firm. They said that we were going to be up 10%. We're going to do 10% growth. Who's counting, right? 11% growth in 2025. That's what they're predicting. Wow, 11%. Remember, right now, according to Zillow, we're like 2.3. Redfin has us at 6. Some others have us at, I think, Case Shiller has us in the mid 3s. So it really just depends on what provider here and what expert you're looking at. But then look down as we go. I've got Redfin on here. Their housing call for 2025 is 4% growth. Zillow's call, their latest forecast was 2.6% growth in 2025. I've got Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. I've got some YouTubers on here. I've got Melody Wright. She's a YouTuber. She thought home prices in 2024 were going to drop 5%. What have they done? According to Redfin, they've gone up 6%. She thinks home prices are going to go down 10% in 2025. Wow. So big swing and a miss for Melody on this year. Wonder if it's going to happen next year. Travis at Real Estate Mindset, I saw a video of his where he predicted down 5% for Redfin data. We're up 6%. I keep saying that. I haven't heard him make a call yet for 2025. He hasn't been really doing a lot of real estate stuff. He's been out east helping people in the hurricane. By the way, great job, Travis, on that. A lot of people, can only wish they help like that. So you're doing a great job there. Housing nerd, that's me. I said last year we would do 5% for 2024, actually up 6%, according to Redfin data. Now, 2025 prediction, I think 2.5% is a good call for next year. I don't think we're going to have explosive growth. I don't think nationally it's going to crash, but I do think there's going to be pockets of the U.S., especially where inventory's gone up a ton, right? It's risen a lot, and you have a lot more inventory. I think those areas will suffer a lot more price decline than areas where inventory is tight. But overall, 2.5% is my call. Now, if I average all the predictions out for next year, 2.2%. That's where I landed as far as the average goes. So that can kind of gives you a look at 2025. Hopefully that helped you today understand what's happening today in the housing market. I thought it was some mind-blowing info. Maybe you did too. And then maybe where things will go in 2025 next year. All right. That's what's going on in the housing market. I appreciate you watching this. Now, I did do a video on mortgage delinquencies. You may want to check that out because that's kind of pretty, I don't know, to me, it shows you that there is some pain right now brewing in mortgage delinquencies. So definitely check that out. You can see it. It's right here, right now.